So hello everybody, welcome to our latest Perifery webinar, our product showcase, so your exclusive virtual M&E trade show booth experience. So in a world where events and exhibitions are constantly evolving, we recognise that not everybody can be physically present at our booth. So that's why we're thrilled to be holding this webinar today and providing you with a virtual trade show booth experience, all from the convenience of your screen. So whether you're joining us for the first time or revisiting to explore further, we're really delighted to have you here. We have an exciting agenda lined up, packed with valuable insights and discussions. But before we dive in, I'd like to introduce our team. So if we just pop to the next slide. Jason, I'll hand over to you first for you to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jason Perr, and my recent entry into the world of Perifery comes from my background of having a company called Workflow Intelligence Nexus, and this company was recently acquired. And what we've been bringing into the mix is a whole lot of great technology around workflow automation and artificial intelligence, and we've been driving a lot of great new features with AI Plus that I'm excited to share and show you guys all sorts of fun things with that.
Thank you, Jason. And Mark?
Hi, yeah, thank you. My name's Mark Habberfield. I'm a senior solutions architect at Perifery. Came from the object matrix world, who was brought into the Perifery world back in January of 2023, but been in the media and entertainment industry for just coming up on 10 years now. So assisting workflow from post houses, news organizations, and video on demand, all the way through to sports solutions. So seen it and done it and have the customers out there to show for it as well. So hopefully if we don't answer your questions today, there should be other benefits coming that we can hopefully answer going forward.
Thank you, Mark. And I'll be moderating today's session. So my name's Leanne. I'm the Marketing Director for Perifery in EMEA. So let's just take a quick look at the agenda for today. So we'll be providing an overview of the events this year and discussing the key takeaways from those. So looking at key industry trends and insights. We'll then be providing an introduction of our product stack or reintroduction for those who are already familiar, and providing you with a live demonstration, which will include our AI Plus solution. And then before wrapping up, we'll have a dedicated Q&A session. So just throughout the webinar, if you've got any questions at all, feel free to submit them into the Q&A section, and we'll be sure to discuss those towards the end of the session. So diving straight in, so looking at sort of what some of the key industry events we attended this year. Mark, like you said, you've been there, you've attended them all. You remember?
I do. I mean, the year has just flown by. This year has definitely been absolutely manic compared to the previous few years, as we all know. So, I mean, NAB in Las Vegas, obviously followed up by NAB in New York, IBC, the big one, definitely back to its pre-COVID times. The Media Production Technology Show in London, CABSAT over in Dubai, just to name a few, but even the smaller ones, you know, the SVGs, definitely very good, the DPP events, the SIMPTE conference, and the supercomputing that happened just recently as well. There's been shows galore, Satis, and I think up until fairly recently, I've been a bit of an AI skeptic, I'm going to be honest. But I did attend the AI Creative Summit a couple of weeks back, and I'm a convert. I'm all for it now. I see where it fits in the workflow, and I see where things are better for it. So, yeah, great to take part in these events and great to meet up with everybody again.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jason, you've joined us on a couple of those events as well. I think you were on the NAB Las Vegas booth with us, and also the New York event most recently.
Yeah, definitely. And at NAB New York, you know, I think we saw a lot of great new things happening in the world of AI. And what we were able to show at NAB New York that we'll be able to show here today, I think has gotten a lot of people excited with some really powerful stuff that we can actually do right now and be able to actually make available very, very soon. But even more exciting is some of the stuff that we're testing and some of the things that are going to be coming soon. So we've got a whole roadmap that's getting formulated around bringing a lot of great AI across all the Perifery products, and a lot of good fun stuff that's coming.
Absolutely, absolutely. And but just from attending all of those events this year, then, can you share any insights into the sort of presence that you saw at these events? Jason, whilst we're with you, starting with yourself.
Yeah, so I think that, what we've been seeing as far as, I guess when you say as far as presence at the events, as far as the different kinds of companies and different kinds of people that we've been seeing coming through, looking at AI and looking at some of these different solutions. One of the big things is it's really across so many different industries. People are finding great uses of AI in the media and entertainment space, where we've been seeing it for quite a while, but also in the medical space and in the legal space. There's been a lot of really interesting things that are happening there. And what we're trying to do is help people augment that data as much as possible around their media content and bring it down and help it live with the media. And that's what part of our goals are that we're reaching toward. Is historically people have been adding metadata to lots of different places and databases and systems, and we need to curate all that together either into a central management structure like a vision, or in addition to that, even actually get things into the files. And so we're hearing a lot of people start to understand that concept more and more, and AI is giving us the ability to make that more and more possible without having the tremendous amount of time spent by people manually entering everything, which we're seeing over and over again is a big problem that a lot of people complain about historically with a lot of those other systems.
And Mark, from your perspective, what's sort of been the more noticeable? What's the more notable presence at these events through attending all these events throughout the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you can definitely see it's the tools and the workflows that seem to generally facilitate the collaboration, to improve the use of the data. People have got the data, people want to use it, people just typically rely on one or two people or things to know where that data is. And by using the AI, I think we're seeing that the data is becoming certainly more accessible and more collaboration happening on the same data. I think, there's certainly an element of people wanting to generate content with AI, but it also leads to all of the copyright and sovereignty issues and questions that are coming up. So I think mostly people are actually going to use it to, collaborate and prevent those mundane tasks happening over and over. So that's my significant take from all of these shows, I think, is that it's looking at the data rather than creating more data from it.
And from that, then looking sort of forward, what are your kind of, in your view, what would be the sort of predictions for 2024? How do you think these events are sort of shaping the trajectory moving forward?
Yeah, again, I think it's just going to be finding the right tools to speed up that workflow and make things easier in the workflow. And I worry that some of the runners might not have much time left out there, but certainly at the same time, we always need people, and it is always the people who are going to be needed. So the tools will get better and better, but it'll always come back to the human element at the end, I believe.
And Jason, in terms of your predictions for next year, based on looking back on the events this year, what's your view?
I think it's going to be very interesting. I think we're getting to an inflection point, and something that I've been saying for a really long time is if it doesn't require cognitive thought, we shouldn't be paying people to do it. And I think in the space of media asset management, and that layers on top of all the storage as well as all the metadata people put into storage. Historically, we've spent tremendous amounts of time and money having people be responsible for organizing all their content and tagging all the content and shuffling content around just to be able to have some awareness of what is in those libraries. And I really see something coming, and we're building stuff to go in this direction as well. But I see something coming where we'll be able to have the content be managed more by AI systems and understood, and have an AI system that can be aware of our content, so that instead of truly searching for content that we need purely based off of manual tags and manual processes, we'll be able to start asking systems for the content we need, which can be a major shift in how people have related to their content libraries. So I personally think that that's what we're going to start seeing, things like that, potentially as soon as NAB in Vegas next year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so just moving into our product stack section then of the webinar. Mark, would you like to take us through, the sort of the timeline in terms of where we are and product, and also for Perifery?
Yes, certainly. I mean, I think nearly everyone who came to our booth, the first question they asked was, how did we become a Perifery? Well, a lot of you may have already heard of the company Datacore, founded back in 1998. And they've been collecting, is that the right word, acquisitions of various storage products to augment their core product. And the Swarm product, the OpenEBS, and the Object Matrix are 3 object stores, similar but also very different as well, aimed at different markets, aimed at different endpoints. And from that, we spun out the Perifery brand. And the Perifery Datacore business unit, it's gone on to acquire Workflow Intelligence Nexus to, again, add in the tools and the workflow requirements. And I think when a lot of people see that we've got, the best part of 40, 50 years, 60 years worth of industry experience just with these 4, 5, so much important people in the business who are really making a single stack that is going to be so forward thinking and best in class. Okay. So again, slightly different branding now. I think we can thank Leanne and the marketing team for the nice new logos and the nice new branding.
Thank you. So if you just want to talk through the Perifery portfolio, in terms of the order there, it might be best starting with the Object Matrix and Swarm solutions, and then we can move on then into AI+.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm all about showing people how these things work, which is why I suspect most people are here. They're here for the demo and seeing it. Object Matrix Cloud, where we host Object Matrix for some of our customers. Swarm, being the alternative object store, which has its own benefits and its own routes for all the markets, and the AI Plus stuff coming through as well. And if everyone's willing to join me, we can dive straight into the demo and see what we want.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, let me switch screens. And I'm just going to give you a quick run through of what I showed everybody in the trade shows. If you came to our booth, we were there with the systems ready to go and demos ready to go. And for those of you who have or have not seen Object Matrix in the past, you've got an object store, you've got the engine looking after your data with the security, the audits, all the key features you would expect from an object store. But you need a nice front end to it. You need an administration tool. Now, with our M&E customers, you shouldn't need a degree in computing to be able to set yourself up and running. You should be able to easily and simply be able to create buckets. You can name them whatever you like, and you can decide the policies quite quickly and easily. What am I going to audit? How many copies? How big is my trash can going to be? How am I going to lock the data? Am I going to replicate it to another location simply and easily by filling out a few forms? But one of the key benefits of Object Matrix has always been extracting metadata. We understand that important image metadata, anything EXIF media info that's come out of the camera, all the XMP metadata if it's ever passed through Adobe or other tools that are also XMP compatible, and even those broadcast exchange formats, the IMF, AS11, AS10. If we find those assets and that metadata, we will extract it at the storage layer and add it to the storage. And it is as quickly and as simple as that to set up a bucket in Object Matrix. As quickly and as simple as I've set it up, I can quickly and easily grant groups of people access to it by just pressing a few buttons, and away we go. Now, another benefit of Object Matrix is our file system interfaces. We have an S3 gateway. You can use most S3 tools to Object Matrix, but we also have an SMB interface and an NFS interface. Well, I mean, I don't know about you, file systems are a bit boring, but we also do have a product called MXFS, and this is, again, a really useful tool
Mark,
for media entry. Yeah,
if I can interrupt real quick, I'm actually only seeing your live demo screen on the screen share at the moment. So I have a feeling you're showing us all sorts of fun stuff, but I'm not actually seeing it there. So I'm not sure if everyone else is.
That is interesting. If I do that and I do that, that is not changing screen, which is interesting. So if I check that onto there, if I do that, still no joy. Technical issues. Okay, it's got to be with the.
They've stopped the share and reshare.
Yeah, share something else. Let's flip to a different screen and see if you can see that one instead.
There we go.
That's it.
Much better.
Okay, well, for the recording, that'll be one to fix in post, obviously.
Indeed.
Not a problem. Don't worry, Mark. It's okay.
Sorry to interrupt the flow, but I knew there were some much better things we were supposed to be seeing.
Yes, indeed you were. And now, do I go back or do I just carry on and quickly say, hey, here's some metadata extraction, here's some trash cans, and here's us setting up a vault. I mean, I do this day in, day out. So for me, it is so quick and easy. Press a few buttons and I've set up a bucket as quickly and easy as that, with all the benefits, and straight away granted people access to that bucket. Or groups of people use an Active Directory to that bucket, and that is kind of the admin tool in and out. You know, there are audits, there are tasks running in the background, there is lots going on in the admin, but it's still very intuitive and very easy to use. I was just going to say, though, our MXFS interface is very, very handy. Now, it's a very performant file-to-object conversion tool. It uses Fuse on Mac and Linux, or it uses a class library on Windows, and it just gives you access to your data. Super performant and typically 2 or 3 times faster than our Samba interface. So very much a performant file to object option. Now, wouldn't be a system if you didn't have audits and you didn't have a way to also interrogate what's going on the system. So we obviously have that. We can see cluster statistics. We can see all those things. It's a product called Sense in the background, but obviously presented either on a chronograph or, in this case, a Grafana panel. And these are completely customizable. Now, the beauty of Object Matrix is it's cross-compatible. If you put something in with the S3 gateway, you can see it with our MXFS interface. If you can see it and put it in and out with our MXFS interface, we also have our web GUI asset manager as well. So Vision is what we call it, completely customizable. Logos, top right, top left, background images, pictures. You can decide what you want to see in the interface. On the left, you've got those vaults. In the middle, you've got the data And on the right hand side, you've got metadata, that all important metadata. Some of it extracted, it's come out of the actual file, media info. Some of it might have been coming out of an Adobe, or I could show you all kinds of metadata, and we can search on all that metadata as well. Whether you want to search all vaults, current folders, even the fuzzy search, if you're not good at spelling surnames like me, you can get to your data. But it wouldn't be a system if you couldn't play the assets. You can scroll the assets, scrub them. We've even got JKL support and the ability to create subclips straight out of the browser as well. Trigger them to either go to the same folder or somewhere else within the system at the press of a few buttons. You can add your own metadata through the use of metadata forms. You can add tags. You can add timeline metadata where we tag the video as well. So you can also decide to go straight to the piece of metadata that you want, importable and exportable, because the metadata is yours as well. I always forget to mention lots of features here. We can upload through Vision, download, you can generate proxies. We've also got an inbuilt link with Signate Media Shuttle as well. So again, at the press of a button, if you are moving large files long distances, there's a company in London who are delivering things from Mongolia to Object Matrix in London, just by the simple integration with the Signate Media Shuttle that grants us that super fast file acceleration delivery of assets across. I also always forget to mention you can get private links, public links, and in the recent version we're allowing the ability to prevent download via the link so that people can only view the asset, they aren't allowed to download it, but we also allow a password protection option as well. So that's new to the latest version that we were showing in New York recently. I mean, Vision's got a whole roadmap of its own. It's been developed for our customers with our customers' input, and it's going to be upgraded. There's no real way to say it. You know, it uses an Angular class. It's not going to be completely removed. It'll be improved on, and that's part of our kind of commitment to all the storages. So for those of you who know, our other storage Swarm is also a clustered object storage. It's built, designed to go on a nodes system and to be broken out, and kind of the same sort of thing. You've got a dashboard, administer your dashboard, create what you need when it comes to the actual workspaces. In those workspaces, you can have your buckets and you can look at the assets in your buckets and see them, use them, all the usual kind of things you'd expect when it comes to permissions and working on data in an object store. But again, new for 2023 and the collaboration is that we've upgraded Vision. Now, Vision has had an upgrade because it is going to work on 2 different types of storages now. And I swear these things always look better on the day. Now, as you can see in the bottom right, it does say this is the alpha version. This is the one we took to IBC in September and to NAB in New York. I believe we've just shifted to the beta version, but I wasn't allowed to show it today. But this is actually data on my Swarm. So I can, again, suddenly I've got the ability to play my data. I've got the ability to upload, I can download, I can start to use my data in the way I want to, as simply as flipping between my vaults and flipping between my data and using it. And that is kind of the beauty of Vision. I'll take this opportunity now to hand over to Jason so that he can show you some of the great AI features that are coming, and also hopefully you'll see where these are going to easily slip into the product. Leanne's going to...
Yes, I just
Sounds good. All
we
right.
are. Okay.
Can you guys see my screen here?
Yes.
All right. So lots of great, exciting stuff there for Vision, and lots of really cool stuff coming What I'm going to show you guys here at the moment is a workflow that we've been working on for a good bit of time. And I'm showing it currently in an iconic interface, but I'm showing it in this interface partly just because I want to illustrate the fact that this data that we generate can be stored anywhere and can travel with the asset record. So while I'm showing it in iconic at the moment, this same data can be available within Vision. It can be available directly embedded into the files themselves, so that they can travel wherever those files ever happen to travel. But let's take a step back. If we're taking a look at this file, we have a file here that's just called "How did the Sriracha shortage happen?" And in traditional workflows over the past 12 years plus that I've been working in the world of media asset management, I can tell you what tends to happen in a MAM deployment is that we go in and we deploy a MAM system. We train everyone up on all the different metadata fields, and everyone's excited about all these different things that they're going to do with metadata. And now you finally have a place to store it. And then after we do all this training, you go in a couple of weeks later, maybe everyone's filling out all these things, but then what happens? You come back 3 years later, and all the people that have been trained have moved on to other positions. And now new people have come in who may or may not have gotten much training. And you have all these great metadata fields that you've created, but very little metadata because it's no longer getting filled out. And so what we've seen over the past 12 years of working in this space is the best way to help with that and fill out those fields, whether again it's in Iconic or Vision or any other asset management system, was through automation where we could extract that metadata from various different places and then fill it into the metadata of the system the content's going into. But that has its own limitations. It's also really expensive. There's lots of different systems you have to integrate with, etc. So what we're showing here now is how we're now doing this all with AI. And so in this example, we have a file that comes in, and all we had was this file name and the actual media itself. It's a 13-minute, 45-second news story about a scary time in history when we thought we were going to lose our favorite hot sauce of this sriracha sauce, which of course is actually an American brand, though most people don't see that, but it's happening here. And so what we have is this file that comes in, and the second it lands on the storage, or the second it gets uploaded into the cloud storage, a couple things happen. First thing we do is automatically generate a transcription. Then we take that transcription, and that goes into a large language model. And we prompt that model with a bunch of different prompts. The first one being generate a new title. So the title we got here in this case was "The Story Behind the Sriracha Sauce Shortage, Underwood Ranches and Huifeng Foods." A couple things to note on that. Number one, the fact that it properly spelled Underwood Ranches and Huifeng Foods. And number two, it's a bit better of a title than what we had by the person who ever named the file. Then, where it gets a lot better is the summary. So that full transcript, which in this case you could actually see over here, this full transcript that got generated, it's a lot to be able to scan through. And maybe it's okay to search through, but just because you have a transcript doesn't mean you've really given someone a quicker way of understanding what this content is. This is where a summary comes in. So here we're leveraging a large language model to generate this summary. And in this case, let's take a look. It says this transcript provides details about the relationship between Underwood Ranches and Huifeng Foods, the shortage of sriracha sauce, the reasons behind it, including weather-related issues and a legal battle. And it also discusses the growth and success of the sriracha market, the impact of the California drought, and the efforts of Underwood Ranches to produce their own sriracha sauce. Now I can tell you in the past 12 years of working on systems like this, the amount of times I've seen any assistant or other person who's entering metadata manually put in this level of metadata into an asset is pretty much near zero, if not zero. Let alone think about the opportunity here of with AI, you could have this level of metadata on every single file across your entire storage library. Even if you have petabytes of storage, everything could have this level of metadata. This is transformative in how we approach being able to catalog our content libraries. If we scroll down, the next piece is we also have a short summary just for a shorter version of what's up there. But then we also have keywords. And it's not unprecedented to have keywords automatically pulled out of videos. But the way that's normally happening in other systems, or even like Iconic here has a built-in process to do this, what they're normally doing is taking your video or taking that transcript and sending it to something like Google's system to be able to pull out relevant keywords. But a lot of those historic keyword systems are looking for keywords based on word frequency. They aren't looking based off of actually understanding the content. And that's the difference with modern large language model AIs, is they actually understand the content. So we're able to pull relevant keywords. So in this case, we got keywords like Underwood Ranches, Wei Feng Foods, Sriracha sauce. Again, all spelled correctly, even in the more difficult words like Wei Feng Foods and Sriracha sauce with zero training. Shortage, weather-related issues, legal battle, California drought, Sriracha market, Underwood farms, and agricultural shocks. Then on top of all of that, we have all this great metadata. How long did it take to produce? Well, for a 13-minute, 45-second video, almost 14-minute video, this was all produced in 24 seconds. And as far as cost, what's interesting, this has a token count of 3,194 tokens. Now, why that's important and where that's important is in version 1, which we have fully up and running and working currently and is going to be available very, very soon. In version 1, this is leveraging OpenAI APIs and being able to send this content over there. A token count of 3,194 tokens, to give you an example, has probably a cost of about 2.5 to 3.5 cents. So that's what this kind of costs. Now, when we get to libraries of petabytes and petabytes of data, that's where you want to be able to not have to leverage something like OpenAI. And so what we have coming in the next version of this that's already been tested and validated and works well in our labs is we can run all of this AI 100% locally on 100% locally hosted models in your environment. So fully secure. Your content's never shared with any other outside company. No other outside model has access to it. And everything doesn't cost you anything per second of content processed. Pricing is more based off of the total amount of data under management and maybe the total amount of users that might be accessing. But it doesn't matter at that point if you're going to process 2 hours here, an hour there, 5 minutes there. It's designed to be able to give you a way to process even petabytes of data. So that's what's coming. So with all this metadata, again, I mentioned we don't want this to be purely in an asset management system. So what we're doing is taking all that metadata, processing these files the second they land on the storage, generating all this and putting it into the file itself. And the biggest place where you can see that is inside of Premiere. In Premiere, we have a Premiere panel that gives us the ability to look into any Perifery storage. And with that panel, you can go through and you can search even across petabytes of data again, because this search actually leverages Elasticsearch under the hood, which is a very high performance search system that's indexing all of the content as it comes in. And once you find that asset based off of the name or based off of any of that metadata that got added, and you import that into your bin, here's the key. Historically, if you did that with things like other asset management systems, cloud systems, systems like Iconic and others, all that metadata you have is still up here because it lives in the MAM. But when we import it this time, all the metadata is on the files. So therefore, even in my bin, I can see things like this file that was just named PR8EP6, which even if I had all that great metadata up here, if I imported it and all my editor had to work with was PR8EP6, they wouldn't be very happy with me and they wouldn't have a clue what's there. But now I still have a title, a summary, and all those tags. So that's what's a big difference of being able to actually have metadata travel with the files. And then with the Premiere panel, the other great benefit there is we even have it stay in sync. So as someone updates that metadata on the files here, we automatically update the metadata on the files in the actual storage as well. so that everything stays in sync no matter where those files are traveling. And then the last thing I'll show is, outside of just doing text transcriptions, we also are able to do things like object recognition. And when we're doing object recognition, what we're doing is, as soon as the content lands on the storage again, we pass it into an object recognition model. In this case, we're using a model called Grounding Dino in the background. And the nice thing about leveraging a model like this is we can actually configure this model with prompts, so we can be descriptive about it, and we can say, these are the kinds of things we care about. We only want you to find cars and people in this shot, for example, and ignore other objects that might be there, so that it can find exactly what we need. But then all of these tags that are found are able to be added as metadata to the actual file object itself, and to whichever MAM you have that system get integrated with, or those files get integrated with. And that's another big point of all this, is that with all this metadata that we're able to generate with AI+, all of it gets stored first and foremost into the objects that are related to the files on the actual storage. And it's configured in such a way so that integration into most other asset management systems is very, very quick and easy. If, for example, in Iconic, the only integration that ever actually has to take place is that you would create a new metadata field and choose where it's inheriting from. Similar kind of thing can be done in Vision. Similar kind of thing can be done in most asset management systems out there these days. It's not truly an integration, it's more of a configuration. But now you have a tremendous amount of rich metadata. And this is all just the very beginnings. We have a tremendous amount of other really powerful stuff planned that we're going to be rolling out in the near future, especially in Q1. We're going to see a lot of great things that are going to be coming out and that we're going to be talking about more and more. And I think we're going to have a lot of really exciting stuff to be showing come NAB Vegas time, with all sorts of new great things coming. So I think that's what I've got for now.
Well, that was a great demonstration. So thank you, Jason and Mark. I'll just hand it back over to Mark. We're going to go straight into the Q&A session before we wrap up. So if you have got any questions for Jason and Mark following their demos and discussions, then please send them in now. We do have one question in. So is there any plan to be able to preview audio files at some point, or PDF files? That's an interesting one. I don't know, Mark, if you want to, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, speaking to our CEO earlier, I think generally the roadmap is driven by our customers. If our customers are asking for it, we're probably going to get it in pretty soon. So with Vision, we can already view the PDFs. I don't know about you, Jason. I don't see any reason why the AI wouldn't be able to scan a PDF, grab a summary, and add a summary to it. It's perfectly reasonable. So if we had the customer requirement for that, definitely let's get that on the roadmap as soon as possible. And again, for the audio files, at the moment, it's a case of Vision supports what the browser supports. Now, again, if we need to get an overlap or a linker file to the original object that actually has a playable audio file, I'm sure that is something that we could look at in the workflow.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Another question then we've got, do you have an integration with Resolve?
DaVinci Resolve? We have customers using DaVinci Resolve Studio with our file system at the moment. I would remind you, object storages are typically for nearline and archive. Although you can edit against an object store, it's probably not going to be the best experience. And we do have a customer in France who they have these 4K projects, which are about 1 terabyte in size. They archive them onto Object Matrix, but occasionally they need to go back and just have one editor, instead of restoring the terabyte project back to their online storage, they just open it directly with the MXFS interface and the file system. So what I'll say there is, yes, we support it, and yes, we will help our customers, but remember that really you shouldn't be editing on an object store. And the question, I guess, is also going to be, are we going to get a panel in Resolve? Are we going to get a panel in Media Composer? What do you think, Jason?
I think it's all very possible. And again, I think just like you were saying, part of it comes down to the requests and the requirements that we see. I think what's important about having a panel in those systems potentially is being able to give people that visibility across their entire library and accessibility. But like Mark was saying, I think it's important to remember that the paradigm of how people have used different tiers of storage is really shifting and has been shifting over the past couple of years. It used to be that we capture our content and put everything onto our fastest, most expensive spinning disk with fiber channel and everything going to our base so we could access everything at high speed, and then eventually, hopefully, archive it one day off to tape or off to object. That has shifted a lot, we're seeing, because people are starting to realize, or have realized very much over the past couple of years, the value of that data, and knowing that they want to make sure it's secure. They want to make sure it's stored long term. It's no longer coming to you on a tape that you can be more reliant on. It's coming on a hard drive that's not very reliable in the first place, too. So being able to have all that raw content come in and go into your object store first, have all these AI processes run on it first, and then be able to pull down from the object to that high-speed SAN that you might actually use for your editorial, where you can now keep the SAN at a smaller size, more cost-effective for that super high-performant content, but just being able to have everything pass through, that's where all that data that ends up on the SAN will be really, really enriched with all this extra metadata and all these other processes that we're doing. And I think that's going to be more commonly the workflow when you're dealing with 4K or 8K or any kind of real high resolution stuff. But again, regardless of that, still to be able to search for and find that content, I could see the potential of those panels still being helpful in the future.
Great. Thank you, Jason, and thank you, Mark. So as we wrap up today's webinar, I just want to thank you all for joining us. Of course, a big thank you to our presenters, Mark and Jason. Remember, though, the conversation doesn't end there, so please do connect with us on LinkedIn and keep a lookout for our post-webinar resources and recordings. Also, keep an eye out for our next webinar that will be taking place on the 6th of December in partnership with Cinefil. So thank you again, and have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you both.
Thank